Okay, let's start. The first one should have been okay for you. You just have to plot 7 and 5 and their opposites. All good with that, right? Okay, where does 7, this number here, lie in relation to 5 on the number line? They want to know left or right, and if so, how many places? Who would like to respond? Jay, move up. Move up. Connor. Not quite. Now I'm starting to worry. Where is 7 in relation to 5? Left, right? And if so, how many places? All right, Delaney. Okay, let's start there. 2 places, spaces, 2 integers to the right. See, what these questions attempt to do is take you along a path. Once you get that, now they take you to the next step and the next step. And it's all culminating with, in my opinion, D and E really prove that you totally understand what goes on with the number line. And it will lead into the second part of 7 as well as tonight's homework. So now let's go back to C. Now that you kind of get an idea of what they're asking for, what can you say about the opposite of 7, which is -7, in relationship to -5? Matt.
If 7 lies 2 spaces to the left.
Okay. Are we good? Next question. Let's just say I'm thinking of 2 numbers. Not going to tell you what 2 numbers they are, but I would tell you that the first number lies to the right of the second number. What has to then be true about the opposites? Danny.
Oh, wait, can I say the opposite?
Okay, if I'm telling you, this is the key. I'm not telling you what numbers they are. I'm just telling you that the first number lies to the right of the second number. What can you then say about the opposite of those numbers?
It would be, the first number would be 2 spots to the left.
We don't even know how many spots. Because I could be thinking of the numbers 1 and 10.
Oh, then it would be to the left. The first number would be to the left.
Okay, that's the key. If I'm telling you that the first number lies to the right of the second number, then what must be true about the opposites is the first number lies to the left of the second. Let me prove it to you. Go back to the number line. First write this down and then I'll prove it to you. Go back to the number line and use that as a visual, because the number line is like a model. It will help you to visualize everything. Give me 2 numbers, but the first number that you tell me has to be to the right of the second number. So give me 2 numbers where the first one is to the right.
and 8.
Okay, 10 and 8. We're doing it in blue. Those are my imaginary numbers. The first number that he gave me was 10. Is that to the right of 8? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, give me the opposite of 10 and 8.
Negative 10.
First number he gave me was negative 10. Second is number negative 8. Note that the opposite now, the first number lies to the left of negative 8. That will work every single time. The gist of the page, what they're trying to tell you, is that if I were to put a mirror right down the middle here, you know what a mirror is, right? This is what's called mirror images. Whatever's going on here, just the opposite is going on here. Everything flip-flops. So if you take it a step further and now scroll all the way to the bottom, when you do this, negative 5 is greater than negative 7 because that's further left. Here's your negative 5, here's your 7, so that's greater. Now look what happens. Remember I told you the opposite side of the number line is like a mirror image. So now I deal with the opposites, 7 and 5 on the positive side. What happens to the inequality symbol? Leah?
Yeah.
It flip-flops. Okay, look. This is the opposite. This is the opposite. So therefore the symbol is the opposite. And if you can understand that concept, then it's going to make doing the homework tonight a lot easier than it looks. And we'll go, I'll take you to at the end of class, because we still have some work to do. The last 5 minutes of class or so, I'll show you the homework, which, by the way, you do not have right now. It's a separate copy. I'm going to give it to you later. But the homework really refers to this idea of what's going on page 2. Okay? What do you notice? Well, I kind of showed it to you. Everything flip-flops. If you want to put it into words. Everything flip-flops when you go and do opposites. Anything that you want to put into words that makes sense. Everything flip-flops when the integers are the opposites. I'll write it out as that. Bottom of page 3. In my opinion, as a teacher, if you try to take a shortcut and not use a place value chart when ordering, in this case, these rational numbers, all right, these are the numbers they want you to put in order. And I'm going to always tell you guys, underline whether they want lowest to greatest or highest to lowest. I've seen that happen too, where they might ask least to greatest, and my students put it from greatest to least. Always go back and revisit the question. You may do the hard part, but the easy part then is you reverse everything. I need you guys to do it every single time by place value chart when you're dealing with numbers with decimals, which we have. And they're all positive. If for chance you have one that's negative and one that's positive, well, that's easy because positive is always greater than negative. But in this case, if you have more than two numbers with the same symbol, since they're all positive, you've got to do it with place value chart. I've seen so many mistakes being made. And here's how I want you to do it. And the sub may have taught it this way, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to show it to you again. I'm just going to take the four rational numbers in the order in which they appear in the question, which is random order. And we wind up with 2.69 again. This is just from how it's listed in the question. Followed by 25684. I'm going to look here because I have it. I don't have to keep scrolling back and forth. $3.19, right? And the big one, 3.0414. Did he tell you about the annex zeros? Annex zeros are placeholders. I like to say fill up the empty nests with eggs. So any place where you do not see a value, put a 0. So everything lines up nice. Okay? At that point, after I've done that, I'm going to go back and just double check and see, are they asking least to greatest or greatest to least? Lowest to highest. I want to put that in my head. So I'm now going to go back and look for my lowest number. We compare by place value from left to right. So the first thing I'm going to look at is my ones. And I'm looking for the lowest number. What's lower, 2 or 3? Just say it. 2. That is automatically now going to make the contender for the lowest either this or this. Since they're both 2, I now have to look at the next place value to the right. And I'm now looking at 6 and 5. Which is lower? 5. That now makes Durbach my lowest city. Watch what I do. I list it here, and I cross it out because I don't need to look at that again. I kind of just take it out of my thinking because it's done. Automatically, what's got to be my second lowest? Calioma, because we were initially comparing these two for lowest. So since we already have Durbach placed, Calioma is now next. Did I spell it right? Close enough. I don't think I did. Cross it out. Done. Okay, my last two comparisons. I have two-way tie for this here, so I've got to look at my tenths. So now I'm going to look at this and this. What's lower, 0 or 1? 0. That's L. Aguilar. Cross it out. Making Wen Quan my largest. I need you guys to do it that way. Because what happens is my students in years past say, oh, I don't need to do it. I can just see it. And then before you know it, they're getting things wrong. Even my brightest kids will get these questions wrong because it takes shortcuts. And you got to show your work anyway because it's partial credit. So you might as well do it. Skip to this page because I want to do it again with this. It's the same idea. I have, for today and tomorrow, place value charts.
Yay.
Okay, it just makes things easier because you can line it up. Since I don't have one on the smartboard, I'm going to take my values. Can somebody just read them off in the random order that they're presented? What's the first number, Matt?
Number 1.
What is it, bud?
9.2. Yeah, 9.2.
9.2.
9.18. 9.204.
Okay. Since I'm doing this without a chart, I've got to make sure everything lines up perfectly. So when you write it and you don't have a place value chart with little boxes to put it in, make sure that they're straight. Annex zeros here, here, and here. I'm going to go back and revisit my question. What do they want? They want least to greatest. I've got to think lowest in my head. We have a three-way tie, so we can't tell anything from that number. I've got to look at the next place value. What's the lowest? 1. That's going to make this my lowest. Cross it out and list it. Next lowest. Well, look, I've got a tie now, so I've got to take a look at this, which still tells me nothing. because we're still tied with 2 zeros. So therefore, I've got to now go to my last place value, my thousandths, which is lower, 0 or 4. 9.2 is my next. That's going to make 9.204 my greatest. And that's kind of the way I need you to do it every single time. I know it takes a lot more time, but I'd rather you take the time and get it right than take the shortcut and get it wrong. And I'm just starting you off basic. I can start getting really, really crazy with these numbers, but if you follow the place value chart, you'll always get it right. Okay. Did you get a chance to do the cities?
Yeah.
Let's just do the answers, and if you need me to go over, I will. They want to, again, we have to go back and revisit. We want coldest to warmest. Well, what's the coldest? What's good about when you have negatives and positives in the same chart, I know that I can automatically eliminate my positives from my lowest. It's going to be one of these two numbers. What's my coldest? Pay.
3.97. Massachusetts. Wait, no.
See, that's why we've got to be careful. It's not. And remember, it's negative numbers. So with negative numbers now, you're looking at which of the digits are higher. Because remember, everything's flip-flopped. Right? That's kind of the hardest part. Or visualize it on a number line. You're looking for the number that's furthest to the left. Evan, it is Hartford. It's Hartford. Hartford is my coldest. It gets kind of crazy when you're dealing with negative numbers because it's reversed. See, look, I'll do it real quick without using the chart, but you can see it. You can't tell anything by -3. That's the same. I also have a 9 here. Can't tell. I have a 7 here. Still can't tell. Annex zeros. Watch. I got to put 2 annex zeros in here. 0 and 0 still tells us nothing. 0. You tell me. What's less? 0 or -5? Because remember, there's this negative symbol. What's lower? -5. That's my Hartford. Cross it out. The good news is that the second one becomes now easier because we are just going to take our second negative number, which is Boston. Leaving Philly and New York City now to compare by place value. I have an 8. I have an 8. It tells me nothing. Luckily, my tenths will give me my answer. What is greater, +6 or 0? Or what's less, actually? And that's Philly. Making NYC your warmest.
It's be in Hartford right now.
Yeah.
It's like.
Okay, here are just the answers for this. And then I'm going to let you guys kind of do a little bit of work. Okay, if you're not sure why you got them wrong, I'll be happy to meet with you after. And this one I already talked about. If one is negative and one's positive, you don't need the place value chart because positive is always greater than negative. Basically, the answer is no. You don't need a place value chart. And I'm going to give you this to you in shorthand. Positive is always greater than negative. And I think that gets just about everything, right? We did 2, we did 3, 4, and we didn't do 4, did we?
No.
I'll just give you the answers for 4. Less than, greater than. Okay, Matthew, go. Rattle them off. Greater than.
less than,
Agree.
less than,
Agree. Agree.
and greater than, less than.
Agree. Agree. Connor. 2, 8, Connor. What are my two integers that are in between -3 and 0, but not? Give it to me again. What? Good. This is right. This is less than. This is yes. Because positive is always to the right. Of negative. And then did you do 12?
Yeah.
You should have -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, or 2. They cannot be equal to -5 or 3. So it has to be just these 7 integers. Does anybody know what the symbol is for greater than or equal to? What would I have to do to this inequality?
But,
Right. This sign means greater than or equal to. This sign means less than or equal to, which I think you've learned in 5th grade. I'm not sure, but in this case, I cannot include -5 or 3 in my set. Kath? That not equal to. Then, do you know what that is?
worm.
Yeah, it's a worm. Quickly, because I want to close out the blog. Anybody know? Very, extremely equal to. It means about equal to, believe it or not.
Oh,
It's a rough estimation.
wait, if you don't have it.
Okay?
There's like close. 2 is close.
Guys, I need like 5 more minutes of your time. Homework tonight, and if you notice the packet that I gave you, it's page 15. Starts at 15 because it's really a continuation of 7. I just copied it separately. So keep it with the lesson 7 booklet. You're just doing page 15 tonight, but we're gonna do one together. They give you one as an example, but let's just do one as an example. When the numbers are positive and negative, it's very manageable. Again, always double check. Are they asking greatest to least or least to greatest? So what are they asking? What are they asking? Okay. Out of positive 1/4 and negative 1/2, which is lower? Karen, let's list it. That's then going to make 1/4 greater. Next thing that they want are what are the opposites of -1/2 and 1/4? What's the opposite of -1/2, Jay? What's the opposite of -1/4, Matt?
Of negative 1/4?
Sorry, positive.
Negative 1/4.
Okay, let's put it in order from least to greatest. Brandon, what's lower?
Negative 1/4.
Followed by 1/2. Okay, ready? Remember what I told you about page 2 will lead up to the homework? What do you notice? Take a look at the 2. What happens?
Switch.
Say it.
Just switch.
They switch. Why does it switch?
The denominators will switch. Because it switches positive.
When you choose the opposite rational number, the order is going to reverse because, like I said, everything on a number line is like a mirror image. So once you understand that idea, everything else will work. Should come into place. Everything should fall into place. All I'm telling you is when you get to something like this one, -5 and -5.6, when they're both negative, use a place value chart, or at the very least, put it on a number line so you can determine order. Because if you get it's double jeopardy. If you get this wrong, then this is going to wind up being wrong. So just be careful. All right, you have a few minutes left. If you want to continue working, you can. Just put your name on it, though, guys. It's a separate handout. Thanks, guys.